Explain like I'm 5. How does the placebo effect work? Taking a sugar pill can sometimes lead to real improvements in health. How does believing in a treatment, even when it's fake, trigger physical changes in our bodies? We don't know. Really, that's the best example you're going to get. We really don't have a goddamned clue. We know it exists. Clinical trials have to account for it in their methodology. But we don't know. There are really two types of placebo effects. The more common one is really psychological. It's perception. We can't get inside someone's brain and accurately measure their pain levels, but a lot of things are just perception. When you break a bone, you have to deal both with the broken bone and the pain. The bone is physical, the pain is neurochemical. So given a painkiller that isn't actually a painkiller has been known to decrease what the patient perceives as their pain level. It's all neurochemical after all. Pain's just the brain interpreting things. And what we've found is there's a real intersection between how someone perceives reality and how someone thinks they should perceive reality. So someone who thinks they're given a painkiller might legitimately believe they're in less pain. We kind of understand this one. We're not sure of the exact interplay of mechanisms here, but your brain is your ouchy place and also your thinky place. And it's not entirely unreasonable to think there's some interconnection between the thinky and the ouchy parts. You think you're in less pain, so you are. We don't entirely know why, but it's all just a bunch of chemicals swimming around in meat jelly. So, weird shit happens. The placebo effect we absolutely do not understand is that there is a non-zero impact on someone's actual health improving. We kinda get, here this pill will help you with the pain, might cause the patient to perceive less pain, even if the pill is fake. But we found there exists a statistically significant number of incidents of, here this pill will help your arm heal faster. And then it does, even though there was no medicine involved. And that's not just perception. That's actual tangible medical results from literally no actual medical intervention whatsoever. That one we have not a damned clue about. One theory from evolutionary biology is that healing takes energy, so the body devotes more energy to healing when it feels safe. That's just speculation, though. Yeah, the predominant hypothesis is a bit like that, but a tad more complex. Though you're right, it's about resources. The idea is this. Being sick is stressful, yeah? But your body and brain are still those of basically a caveman. It has a whole lot of inbuilt survival mechanisms. And your brain can't really distinguish, I feel like shit but can't afford to miss work stress, or what if I die and leave my wife to raise our children on her own stress, and Jesus, I'm being chased by a tiger stress. Stress is stress, and stress activates a whole lot of flight or fight responses, which absolutely prioritize short-term survival over long-term health. And to your body, all stress is being chased by a tiger stress. So, while your body does have mechanisms to heal and repair, those take resources. Resources your body is allocating to deal with the tiger it thinks is chasing you. Because when you're being chased by a tiger, fighting off that nasty staph infection is way less important than outrunning the tiger. Because the staph infection might kill you in a few days or weeks, but the tiger is absolutely trying to kill and eat you right now. So when you are stressed, your body is taking the resources it could use to fight the staph infection and allocating them to escaping from the tiger. Except it's 2024 and the tiger is, how am I going to pay my mortgage if I don't get better soon? Your brain doesn't know that though. Stress is stress, but believing you're receiving good medical care lowers stress levels, which in turn allows for a reallocation of resources, energy, or call it what you will, to dealing with the more long-term problem. I wonder if prayer, religion works in a similar way. If the mere belief in Sky God allows their brain to think it has help and might have better outcomes than atheists like me. It would be interesting to read research that connect placebo effect with what the term would be, higher power effect. There are a lot theories, but a lot thinking is there is a huge benefit to human interaction and feeling cared for. Explain like I'm 5. On shows like Law & Order, attorneys routinely make statements they know will be stricken from the record. Is that done in real trials, and if so, how can judges truly expect juries to disregard the statement? This doesn't happen nearly as often as TV makes it out to be. Because in real-world courtroom scenarios, if you spout off something you know is going to irrevocably taint the jury, opposing counsel is up out of their chair in a second demanding a mistrial. This is malpractice time in actual reality. A good example of this was the Rittenhouse trial, where the judge admonished the prosecution for discussing the right to silence of the accused to make an impression on the jury. That was pretty wild. You don't gotta be a lawyer to know that's not how it works. Lol. It can happen in real trials, but it's rare. Psychologically, there's evidence that the jury doesn't like rule-breaking attorneys who fight with the judge. People respect judges a lot more than lawyers to begin with. Also, it's not really a fight. The judge can hit lawyers doing it on purpose quite hard, both in the case and in ethics complaints. If the DA does it, serious odds of a mistrial. The judge can rule against them on other borderline evidence, which is almost unappealable. The judge can, in extreme cases, sanction a civil party so hard they can't win. This is correct. The thing that I, as a lawyer who does a lot of bench trials, do a lot of that, people do not realize. I will make objections and make other statements to the judge. I flat out know they are going to deny. It is called building a record, since if you do not object, you cannot appeal based upon it. An appeal is generally not a new trial, but the higher court making sure that everything happened correctly. So an objection you lose on at trial can be the thing the judge gets wrong and is the whole basis of the appeal. I do very little appellate work, but that has been drilled into by our division that does that. And they have told me on the last few appeals I have handed off to them that I built a good record for them to base their appeals. There is also a difference between asking a question you know will get an objection and flat out saying something you should not ever say. As a lawyer, you ask questions for the lion's share of the case. Basically, the exceptions are opening, closing, and motions. Anything not objected to is admitted. So I have asked a lot of questions over the years that I know an attorney on their game would object and easily win the objection. But if they're off, you can get things in that you really should not be able to get in. Most lawyers also have practice areas they focus on, and we all have scorecards for the lawyers we go against. I know who I can get one over on, know who I should be focused more on settling with, and who will never settle a case. I honestly go against the same 20 attorneys over and over again. A huge number of things on Law and Order are wrong, specifically for the purpose of drama. Last-minute evidence isn't a thing. Any evidence from either side needs to be provided to the other side well in advance. Same thing for last-minute witnesses. Same thing for surprise testimony. Every witness in a major case is going to have had a deposition in advance, where they've been asked mostly the same questions they're going to be asked on the stand, and that deposition was already made available to the opposing side. The entire idea that a case can turn on a surprise is anathema to the concept of justice, and the system is designed to eliminate surprise. Of course, surprise is a fundamental element of dramatic tension. Same thing goes for every emotional confrontation. The lawyers aren't even allowed to come close to the witness stand. Roaming around in the well, approaching the witness is Legal Eagle's favorite thing to criticize when looking at court scenes, closely followed by any gotcha, last-minute evidence. Some of his critiques of the various Trump proceedings and the Alex Jones trials also highlight how much trouble lawyers get into when they try to act like TV lawyers and indulge in hyperbole or histrionics. Real-life judges tend to have zero sense of humor regarding departures from orderly procedure. Explain like I'm 5. Why does this or letter exceed boundaries of some websites? I once saw it on some forum, and when I tried to copy it on TikTok, it would look even to other but gets overlapped by the profile picture. Så går ka in daggetang the no with engulf to tai true. Ingetith. What you've written isn't a single letter. You've written a sequence that has one Unicode character 24 times in a row, specifically code point U plus 0E47, 3655, which is Thai character M, am I the asshole IQ. I'm not familiar with the Thai alphabet, but I suspect it's not being rendered correctly on various sites because it isn't intended to be used as a standalone character, but instead is only intended to be used alongside some other Thai character, right? Thai is written on different levels, and the tone marks and some vowels seem to simply be coded as on top of or below the previous character. If one adds more and more of those characters, they are simply being added on top of or below the previous tone mark or vowel. Main level plus vowel or key. Main level plus vowel and tone mark, ku or key. In the last example, you can see that the tone mark sometimes has to go 2 levels above the main one if the first level is already taken up by a vowel. Because of this indeterminate position of the character, it isn't limited to a specific place, which can apparently be exploited to create the effect OP mentioned. Yep, and because of that multi-level rendering which is part of the specification, CK6 page 13, doesn't have a limit on how many. It means font rendering needs to assume it can just keep going if people attach 20 plus ELI5 class 0 non-spacing marks. I.e., this code point fits under the not allowed to cause more horizontal space being taken and must not cause reordering, i.e. can't be broken/split, moved to make graphical sense. And a few other special cases that exist because language is fun and perfectly reasonable to a computer at all times and in no way a pain to render. None at all. I forget where exactly in the Unicode specs about how these accent intermediate characters handling is defined, else I would link that section. It is a fascinating read of edge case handling wackiness. Edit. Found the chapter in V15CH 5.3 P29222. Ooh, Unicode standard docs are fun to have to search through, even when they try their best to be great at explaining everything. It even covered apart the subreddit name. A, they, nay. They, Instein, nein, nam. Ban. E. And thought. Can someone explain like I'm 5 to me? Is this how we get the spooky writing we see sometimes? Basically, yes. Some diacritic symbols and other modified letters don't have their own dedicated character codes, so they're just encoded as a sequence of base letter modifier, and your browser or whatever combines them into one symbol. Most of the time it works fine and you just get the modified letter you wanted, but other times you can confuse things by writing e.g. modifier, 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 etc. That can end up with all these partial glyphs that were never really meant to stand alone, getting stacked on top of each other the way they normally would on a regular base letter. And instead, you get that weird nonsense intersecting itself all over the place. Well, that's another episode of Explain Like I'm 5 in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.